I guess we can chit chat till then. Like, why is it everyone so silent? Hello?
Hey guys, am I
Yeah.
audible?
Yes, you are audible, Brunal. Welcome.
Great.
Hi.
I'm not sure why my name is showing as Ranjit Sawant, but I'm not that person.
Yeah, like
Is
I can
it
see
coming
Brunal
right?
Jain over here.
Okay, not sure why my side it's showing Ranjit. No problems.
Some
So
technical
great.
glitch.
Yep. Yeah, it's proper now. Great. Good to see a lot of you guys here on, in the evening. I've heard that a lot of you guys have already sort of attended quite a few sessions of Flutter. So the introductory part about why Flutter and how is it useful, and then how you can like very simply create a lot of complex UIs with the help of Flutter. Why is it easier for front-end developers to switch to Flutter and not like in comparison to Java and Swift for creating mobile apps, how Flutter is pretty easy. While everyone is joining, if you guys have any question, uh, you can just go ahead and shoot at me. Any specific thing which you guys wanted to ask regarding Flutter or anything else.
Yeah, like you can unmute yourself or put it in the chat box.
Yeah, no problem.
Someone is asking how to get the Dart plushie. That's the question
Okay.
from my side as well.
So basically, this event is being organized by 3 colleges together. So I hope at least someone might have some sort of uh, information regarding how to get swags and stuff. I can get these swags, but if I'll say yes, I can see 40 people on the chat. So I can't give it to everyone. So maybe we can
I
organize
had
some sort of.
Yeah, like I had researched that if we do an open source contribution to Flutter, we can get the Dart plushie.
Yeah, that's the correct way to get one, but you can also get it through different ways.
Okay.
We'll do something. So okay. So since we haven't started the session yet, what I can do is I'm not sure. I do have a lot of coupon codes through which you guys can order stuff from Flutter cart or whatever their website is, but I'm not sure that which coupon would lead to which swag. So what we can do is we can have a giveaway of 2 coupons, I guess, because I just have 10 left with me. So at the end of the talk, we can have some sort of Q&A or whatever you guys feel like. We can give it to the best question, or we can give it to the best person
Okay, that's
whosoever is the
really
attentive one. So we can do that as well.
that's really great.
No, you can't order it. So all these swags and stuff, you won't get it. You can't order it. GitHub has a shop of its own, but all this stuff you can't order. It's more sort of that whosoever deserves it should get it. So that's the idea behind it.
Okay, so I guess a lot of them have joined already. Like there are 40 participants.
Yeah.
So are we good to start?
Yeah, anytime.
Okay, cool. So we'll start.
Great. So I don't have a proper PPT still. I'll share my screen so that I can start with a brief introduction about myself, and then uh, we'll quickly jump to the state management topic. And just a brief note before we start the session. I won't be able to speak for 1 hour continuously. So if we can have an interactive session, that would be much better. Just make sure you block me in the between and keep on asking questions. Or if you have any doubt, just raise your hand or ask it in the chat section so that it would be more sort of a dialogue and not a monologue from my side. And yeah, also you guys are attending from different colleges, so feel free to interact with each other as well. Any specific topic which you guys want me to speak on, just let me know. Any topic which I have left, correct? So that is something I wanted to announce even before starting the topic. Great. So a quick introduction about myself. As you guys might already know from a lot of posters or messages you might have received to attend this session. My name is Mrinal Jain, and I'm a community lead for Facebook Developer Circles, Central India. Basically, I'm leading that community chapter over here in Central India. Also a Mozilla representative. So basically, this is where I do all my open source contribution, be it related to Firefox browser or uh, any different, all the different open source programs which Firefox is running, which Mozilla is running basically. So I do that as well, and I speak a lot of about their technologies, JavaScript and stuff. Student partner for Microsoft. I am not still a student partner because I used to be a student partner back in my college days, and I'm a 2018 graduate. So, but I still like to show off that I was a student partner. Also a community manager for Free Code Camp. Very nice website to start learning any specific programming language you want to learn, be it HTML, CSS, JavaScript, very simple stuff, or be it Node, React, Angular, whatever you want to learn. I would bet on this particular website any day. Very nice website to start learning any specific programming language which you want to learn, and in a stepwise manner. So yep. And I'm a freelance developer evangelist as well as, and at the end, I also have a full-time job role, which I work at Twittyfeed. I'm a front-end engineer at Twittyfeed. So I take care of all their websites and mobile applications. So all in all, I'm more sort of a front-end developer who likes to work on the UI part of stuff, be it website, be it mobile applications, be it Android TV applications, or any form of UI interface. So I like to do that. So yeah, that is a bit about me, and that is all which I had with the PPT stuff. So what I'll do is we'll keep this as the screen, and then I'll start speaking. So great. As I've already known that basics of Flutter has been already covered in your respective colleges, which I got to know from the respective student developers. We'll start from a very important, a very confusing, and yet a very interesting, I would say, topic, which is state management in Flutter. So most of you guys might have worked on state management, but might not be knowing that, okay, this is something what is state management. Most of you might have started working on Flutter or any other programming language or any other project, and then faced a few problems that how to access this data there, how to access that particular data there, and then might have give up working on that particular project. So that is where state management again comes to the picture. So if I have to explain state management in one single sentence, it is basically in the software development world, the state is the information which is required to rebuild your UI at any moment. And if I have to explain it in much simpler language, they can be a static website, they can be a dynamic website. But in order to keep user interacting with your website, or in order to keep any user hooked with your website or your mobile application, you need to keep updating your UI regularly, or you need to keep your even if the user is not interacting with the UI, you need to make sure that whatever the latest information is there at the backend in the database, it should be up to date in your UI. So in order to achieve that stuff, that is the terminology which is used, that is known as state management. Correct? Why state management is important? One point I have already given you, that you need to make sure that the UI of your application is up to date at every particular time. Correct? And also, even if any data which changes at the backend of your database, you need to make sure that the UI of the application is updated automatically. Correct? Now, if we have to look at how Flutter manages your state management, or any other tool which is any other tool which you are working with manages the state management. So is a simple GIF which I have found somewhere on the internet to explain you guys in a much better way that how any UI is updated in any of the mobile application. Correct? So in your previous events, or in your previous sessions, you might have seen this particular chart of Flutter widgets. Flutter is completely dependent on widgets. So basically, this is a tree structure of any particular widget. The initial widget is my app, then there can be multiple screens which are inherited with that particular my app screen based on the user's state. User would see that particular screen. If the user is in logged out state, he will see the login screen. If the user is in logged in state, the user might see catalog screen, or if the user wants to go to the my card screen, user can go to the my card screen. Now, what exactly we are trying to show over here is that when user clicks on login button, user goes to the catalog page, user clicks on one of the item and clicks on add to catalog, and as soon as the user goes on the cart screen, the user is able to see the item added to the cart. Correct? So what exactly happens is the list item is updated via my catalog, via my app to the cart screen. So there's a hierarchy which we are following. List items are all present over here. One of the list item is updated, added to the cart. There's a listener attached to the my app, and then the my app widget updates the my cart widget. So this is how the flow of data happens. So this is what we have seen in a logical manner, that okay, my list item is updated and it goes through my app, and my cart is updated. Now, whatever code you might have learned in Flutter, you might have seen a very basic example of set state, right? How set state works is, if I have an example, let's try to see a very basic example of set state, which basically works on single screen. So okay, so for example, this is a very basic example which every Flutter application works on, which is I have taken a text widget and given it is a value of a variable which is counter, and here I have defined the counter and given it an initial value of 0. Now, if I want to update the counter, what is the basic way to do it? The very best way to do is using set state. So what set state does is it updates that particular widget again. Or if we want to talk into the Flutter terminology, it rebuilds that particular widget. Whichever widget you are calling set state on, in our case, we are calling the set state on my homepage widget. So it would rebuild the widget and update the value every time increment counter is called. Where is increment counter being called? Increment counter is being called on the click of this particular widget. So this is all being done in one single page. So updating UI in one single page is very, very simple. And this can be also termed as local update of data, correct? Or local scope of this particular data, because everything is happening in this particular one screen. Now,
Um,
as we
I had a question. See,
yes,
I had used state builder earlier for this
hmm.
local state management itself, but I quite didn't understand that concept. Like, is it the same thing if we take a
So
list view builder
basically,
and
yeah, so
use set state inside, that is the
it's
same as state builder?
it's exactly the same stuff. State builder is basically the widget behind set state. So set state is basically much simpler or much cleaner way of using a state builder widget. This no specific difference. What I am doing is I am calling set state over here. If I directly use state builder widget over here, where am I? If I
Uh-huh.
update with a widget and I use a state builder widget, so builder will give me an option to update the count right inside the UI. But it is mentioned in Flutter that we should try to keep the logic and UI in different states. So that is why we use it in different way.
Okay, so it's basically one and the same. It's just that state builder is a widget and set state is used inside on pressed or on tab or something.
True, true. But again, all these things are good to use while you are learning state management. Once you are working on a production level application, all these things are really not advised to you. But since it's we are all in learning phase, so we need to start from the basics, that okay, how actually things work, and then there are plugins available who are doing it in much more easier way and much more efficient way. We'll start using that plugin. So we'll take an example of provider later in the
Okay.
example, how the provider achieves all this stuff. Because one thing which I mentioned over here is that as soon as you call set state, it rebuilds the widget. Okay. And somewhere in Flutter, rebuilding widget is not considered very good thing. You can take an example of a very basic, because a lot of you, I'm expecting a lot of you might have worked on any front end framework. So I'll take example from that side.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you are working on a React framework or you are working on Angular framework, correct? Now there's a DOM, document object model, of every website, correct? If you want to update one single node, or let's say one simple list item on your page, how will you do it? You'll access it through some sort of JavaScript query, which is get element by ID or something like that, and you'll update it, correct? So in this particular case, not the whole DOM would be updated, that just one node would be updated. If we take an example of any specific website, let's take an example of this particular website, correct? So in JavaScript or in React, what happens is, let's say if I want to update the value of this particular text with the help of JavaScript. So what I'll do is I'll access that particular node with the help of this ID and then update it with the help of jQuery or JavaScript. How DOM will react to it or how browser will react to it, browser will just update this particular node. Rest everything on this page will not be changed. Only this particular thing would be changed. And how JavaScript or browser achieves it is with the help of, there's a terminology which is known as tree shaking, or also if you guys might have heard dummy DOM. There is that is also what it is called. And I'm forgetting the name in React terminology, or in Angular terminology. What do they call it? Shadow DOM, I guess they call it Shadow DOM. So basically, all this terminology helps browser to just update one specific node, which user wants to update. But to Flutter, if you're calling set state, so what set state would do, even if you are calling set state for one particular value, which is my shop in our case over here, what set state would do is set state would update complete, would rebuild complete page again and just change one value because you just wanted to change one value. Still, set state would update the whole page. So that is the basic difference, or the major difference, why set state is not suggested to work. Because in simple applications, it's easier. You're just updating one counter. You have a very simple UI. So set state won't affect a lot of stuff. But if you have a very complex UI and you need to update 2, 3, 4 UI elements on every user click, so every time if set state would be called, it might have memory leaks issue. Your application might have memory leaks issue. So that is why set state is not suggested. Okay, so yeah, we saw a very simple example of set state, and that is what we were trying to do. Let me take you through another very basic example which I was trying to show. So basically what we'll do is, after the set state, this is the very basic example of state management which I have created. I have shared the URL in the chat section. So we'll go through the basic functionalities of this particular application. It is a very simple shopping cart application which has 3 basic features. One is login. Login I have attained or implemented with the help of Firebase authentication, which you guys might have already seen in a lot of applications. So we might skip that. Then there are 2 basic features. One is cart feature, and then one is managing items of your particular application. So there are basic 3 features in this particular application. This is something which we'll see. And also the core package for state management which I have used over here is provider. Provider is again built at top of the basic functionalities of set state and notify listener and all those stuff in Flutter. There are so many different state management options which are available, but it depends on you, because you might have seen block, you might have seen Mobex, you might have seen so many different Redux is there, and so many different options are there, but it depends on you, whichever you want to use. Provider is the simplest of all of them. So that is the reason I have used that. So feel free to go through this particular website. If I have shared the screen, I'll show you.
Yes, you have.
Basic. Okay, so let me know if my device is visible.
Yes.
I have just run the application.
What is that you are presenting? Like,
so basically, I'm trying to present my mobile device so that I can exactly show that, okay, this is the application which we'll try to build. Can't see it. Okay, yeah, got it. Here it is. So this is the basic application which we'll try to build. This is the login screen. This I have, as I mentioned, that I have made it with the help of Firebase authentication. This is the code for that particular application. So let's start from the very basic, which is main.dart. So I'm assuming you guys are familiar with the folder structure of Flutter. So what exactly happens in main.dart is we run our myapp function. If we'll go to the myapp function, we try to run our material app. Okay. We have given a home as our hot screen. And then there are all the basic routes which are there in our application. So as you guys are already aware of the authentication part, let's try to see a much simpler screen, which is user product screen. What I'll do is let's add this screen over here. Okay. And let's try to run. Okay. So while this is running, okay. So while this is running, I'll give you a very basic brief on the list of state management approaches or techniques or plugins which are available to use. The very first is provider.
So why is that provider is recommended a lot? Like when I started with state management, I was going to go for Redux, but
Okay.
then I read a lot of articles where they suggested that provider is much better, and I switched to provider.
Definitely. So as of now, if we have a clarity that why is there a need of state management tool, it is needed because set state is useful for just doing operations on single page. If I want to transfer data from one page to another, from a child widget to parent or a parent widget to a sibling widget or anything such that, set state is not gonna work. Correct. So that is the requirement of that is why we require a state management tool. Now,
Right.
cut to, there are so many options and why provider is suggested. So
Right.
every state management plugin or tool comes with its own boilerplate code. You need to set up a few things. For example, if you can see my screen over here, there's a difference. If I'll open a very simple main.dart, which is visible over here. If we'll see the material app code over here, see, there's just material app, there's a theme widget, and there's home page. So this is a simple Flutter material app, correct? Now,
Right.
if we add any state management tool, which I have added over here, there is a lot of boilerplate code which comes with it. First, you need to wrap your complete application with a widget which that particular plugin provides to you. In our case, we are using provider, so we are using a provider widget. Then what you can do is for every screen, you can have different provider over here is basically, if you want to understand in a simpler term, provider would provide you data specific to that particular page, and not just it would be present on that particular page. That particular data would be also accessible to the sibling widgets, to the child widget, to the parent widget of that particular thing, and all the data would be wrapped up above material app so that it is accessible throughout the application, because your entire application would run in this particular wrapper, material app. So what this plugin does is it provides data one step above the material app, which is the parent widget. So now if you have provided any data over here, it would be available throughout the screen. Coming back to your question, which is why provider is suggested, because as of now, you might be seeing that, okay, there is a lot of boilerplate code in provider. but
Hmm.
this is the least uh, boilerplate code which you need to write for any other for any state management tool. If we'll go to Redux, if we'll go to Mobex, if you will go to any other third block or anything, there are so many different configurations which you'll have to do, even
Okay.
for creating a simpler application. Also, if you have read about any UI patterns or frameworks which you guys work in different technologies. For example, if you are from front end background, you might have worked on MVC framework or MVVM architecture or something like this. So if you are familiar with MVVM or an MVC, provider is somewhere similar, because uh, every provider which you are using over here, it can be notified as a view model.
Okay.
So if you have worked with MVVM architecture, which is model view controller architecture, so this can be considered similar. Provider package can be considered similar as that particular architecture, which is model view controller architecture. So, and also, it is not just that you have to use provider. For starters, it is very simpler. Again, if you would ask me that what would you use for any production level application, so I would suggest Block or anything else, because having an experience of working in Flutter for like 5-6 months now, you tend to learn about your project and learn about the features of your project, that okay, this is what would be suitable, this is what which one would be suitable, and then you can upgrade your plugin based on your requirements. But for starters, provider is suggested, because one simple reason: less boilerplate code.
Understood.
Okay, so that is something which was about uh, provider. There's another plugin which is relatively easy if you are from React background, which is Redux. Redux also works on similar concept, but the folder structure is much more similar to the React framework website. So if you are from that particular background, you can use that particular plugin. And all these plugins, I hope you guys might be already knowing this particular website, but we'll just have a look at it. It is available on pub.dev. So whatever plugins I'm talking about, all these plugins are available on pub.dev. So if we just had a word about Redux, just need to go and use it. So using it is very simpler. Just need to copy the version. You need to add it to the popspec.yml. As simple as that. Might be a problem of version coming to your project a lot of times. There's a simpler trick to that particular thing. You guys might have seen that in the output section you get a error a lot of times, that this version is not compatible, that version is not compatible. So
Right.
the best solution what you can do is just mention the name of the plugin, and that's all, and then click on save. Flutter will automatically manage and calculate that okay, which version is compatible with all the other plugins, and will update it accordingly. So that is something which you can do. That is how you can add any plugin. So Redux is one. Then there is Block. Block is created by the Google engineers. So if you want to use that, you can use that as well. Get it is there. Get it is again very clean folder architecture which comes with Get It. Mobex is there, Riverpod is there, Getx is there. All these plugins are like, you just need to have a look at it. Once you are familiar with what state management as a concept is there, you can start using any particular plugin want matter. Okay, so our application is running over here. So if we have a look at the very first functionality, which is there's a plus button at the top right corner. So if I'll click on the plus button, I'm getting an option to add a product to my particular app. If we open the code for this particular application, so first of all, let's try to add something and then we'll go through the code. So name of the item is item 1. Let's keep the price to 250 rupees. Description, item, test, item. Yeah, whatever. Okay. And I have added an option to add URL as well. So I'll add a dummy URL and then click on save. Okay, so this is what the item is visible. Now, if I was working, if I was not working with any of the state management tool, so one thing we'll notice, I'll go to the orders section now, and then I'll come back to the manage product section. Still my item is visible. Why this is happening? Because I am using any of the state management tool. Otherwise, if I was not using any state management tool, what I would have done is even if I would have stored this particular value in some sort of object at that particular screen, as soon as I would have visited other screen, the scope of that particular variable might have died, and then if I visit the screen again, I won't have seen the item again. So how is this possible? We'll go to the your product screen and see what exactly is happening. So this is the UI of your product screen. What are we printing in a list view is user product item, and user product item is getting data from where? Products data. Okay. Are you guys aware of the data modeling? Creating models for any data with the help of JSON object. Are you guys aware of that?
Sort of, like not that much.
It's very simple. So what I was trying to ask is, for example, there is every API returns any data in some sort of JSON format, correct?
Mm-hmm.
For example, if there's an API which is giving me a list of items, if any API is giving me user detail, correct? So there would be, the data would be in certain format that, okay, the first value would be the name, the second value would be the last name, then there would be an address and something like that. So you can create a model for that, or basically, in if you are from Java background, a class out of it, correct? So there is somewhat similar concept.
Okay.
Okay, there are a few questions as well. Instead of provider, what we can use in production level? I guess I have already answered that. Instead of provider, if the app has multiple features, you can go for block and mobex, because block and mobex makes sure that all the different features are independent, and you can use those independent features wherever you want to use in your application. So that is something which I would suggest if your application is feature rich. Uh, if your application is at a large scale, still the number of features are less, provider would definitely work for you, won't be a problem. Can you please help me? I have an error in add screen. I'm not sure if you can unmute yourself and ask your question in a much so that I can get understanding of what exactly are you trying to ask.
Like your project, I have also created that project. In the middle of that, I have an error in add screen. When I click on the add button, then there is some error, and and the error is type null is not subtype or type string is typecast, like that.
Okay, got it, got it. So basically, Flutter works in two different states. One is with null safety. The second one
Yes.
is without null safety. Correct. Null safety is altogether other topic, but just to give you a brief of what basically null safety is. While you are running your application, value of any data which might be coming from backend might be null. Null as in might not have a value or might be an empty value. So in order to make your application safe with all those null value, Flutter has introduced a null safe version as well, that you can use that null safe version and Flutter will take care of all those null values. So that is a null safe version. This project which I have created was in non-null safe version. You might have taken a pull and created a new project and it would be running with the help of null safety. So I would suggest you to just do a quick Google search, run Flutter app without null safety and then run it. It would run perfectly. Won't be a problem.
But I have created in the null safety version, so I have an error. Can you please help me also? Because I have tried many times.
Okay, so for that particular that specific error, maybe we can connect after the talk and
Yes,
I'll
sure.
help you out with this specific project.
Sure.
Won't be a
Thank
problem. Yeah, if you want to solve that specific problem. But that was the basic difference which I was trying to draw, that what is null safe and what is non-null safe. Okay, great. So, okay, so where were we? How to add any particular product. So this is how we added one product. So what is this function doing? Basically, if we skip the HTTP part and do the basic simple. So I have created a model of product and whatever details we entered in this particular form, which was name, title, description, price, and image URL, I saved all those values in this particular product class. And then this is the most important line which I have written, which is notify listeners. So what is happening over here is wherever in my project I am using this product class, be it on the card page, be it on the list items page, be it on the user products detail page, wherever I'll be using this product widget now, automatically the value of the products would get updated with the help of this notify listener. This notify listener basically does what it does is whatever changes I have done in the class. For example, if I'll change the price, as of now it is coming dynamically, but let's say if I change the price to 255 and then call this notify listener. So across the application, wherever this price is being used, it would be updated to 255. This is the job of notify listeners. So if we'll try to connect it with the set state, what set state used to do is we used to write a few variables inside set state, correct? That what set state used to do is
rebuild the widget, right? Like,
yeah, so basically it used to rebuild the widget. Plus what I'm trying to show is how it used to work. So we used to assign a new value to any variable inside the set state. So as of now, what we are trying to do is we are creating a new variable over here and then clicking on then calling notify listeners. And in set state, what we used to do is inside the set state function, we used to update the value, whatever value we wanted to update. So set state used to update the value on the page itself. But notify listener, what notify listener would do is wherever in my project this product is being used, it would update the product title, description, price, image URL everywhere in the project. So this is the function which we get with the help of provider package, which we have added in our application. So if you will similarly see any other function, for example, this particular list item has two more functionalities, which is delete and edit, correct? So if we'll see the delete functionality over here, similar thing is happening. what I'm doing is from the items array, I'm whichever ID is being passed, I'm deleting it and then calling notify listeners. So wherever in my application this particular item was used, it would be deleted because I'm deleting the product. So if that product is being deleted, it shouldn't be visible over anywhere else. So this is the like a very basic difference and a very useful difference which is there in between set state and using any other
So these
plugin.
are like making global functions, right? Like
It's yes. So at the end of the day, functionality is not changing. You're just changing values of UI. The use case of using any set state or any state management plugin is to make your code more readable. Since I am able to use this notify listeners from wherever the application, what I have done is I have created a different file for managing products. It is different from my UI. If you'll see, my UI is over here. On my UI, I don't have to write anything, any set state or anything else. I have created a different file, and in that particular file, I can write all these functionalities of removing, adding. If I have to add some sort of a loader and on the application or anything else, I can do that. And then with the help of provider, I can call it. So we'll see that as well, that how it is being called, any of the function. So if I'll open any of the product item, which is this, okay. So this user product item is basically the UI file for this one list item, correct? So the very first thing which is happening, so this is the code for delete product item. This is the edit item. So if we'll have a look at the code for delete product item. So now, if we were supposed to be using set state over here, basically this is how it works. So if we were using set state over here for deleting this particular item, what we would have done is we would have accessed the ID of this particular element, and then with the help of set state, we would have set it to empty so that this particular item would have been deleted. But if we are using provider as a package, so provider has a syntax for writing any of its code. So I'll comment it and we'll write it again so that it's easier for you guys to understand. So how do you access any other function which you have written with the help of provider? So I have written this add, delete, and all this functionality in the other file, which is products.dart, correct? So how will I access it? I'll write provider, which is then, are you guys aware of this off context method? Just like you guys use it in different ways, theme of context, provider of context, then text file context, all this context. Basically, context is helpful for Flutter to know that, okay, from which place is this function being called? Because as I mentioned, if you're using any state management plugin, you can use data from anywhere inside your application. So this context helps Flutter to know that, okay, exactly from which place this particular thing is called.
so it's
Then,
like a reference of the current page, right?
yes, reference of the current page. And this is not for us, it's for Flutter, because we'll just write over here that delete data. Then Flutter will manage that, okay, where is this delete data function written and what I need to delete. So with the help of context, Flutter would be able to map. For example, if I explained it in a very simpler manner over here, that list item was clicked on a catalog page over here and it was updated in the my cart. So Flutter manages this workflow, list item to my catalog, to my app, and to my cart. So the context which we are writing helps Flutter to understand that, okay, I need to update this specific my list item in this particular specific my cart. So that is something which helps Flutter. Now, after writing the context, we need to mention the name of the file. So what is the name of the file over here, which is products. You can name it anything. So we'll add the name of the file over there. We'll add the context, and then with the dot method, we'll be able to access all the items which we have written in that particular function. If you'll see over here, we have so many functions, methods over here: favorite items, find by ID, fetch, add, update, delete, so many items which we have written over here. So we can access all those with the dot notation. So here the requirement was to delete product. So we'll use delete product, and ID we are already receiving. One thing which is also important is a listen parameter which we can add. What is the use of this listen parameter? If you will have a look at the functionality of this particular button, what is this particular button doing is just deleting this particular item. It is no other use case. So we can write listen false. There can be different functionalities where, for example, we are showcasing list of items over here. There can be 5 items, there can be 6 items in this particular list. And we are not sure that at the backend, the data might be updated. Let's suppose at the database from where we are calling this particular API, the data is updated. There are now 7 items in the database. So if we'll make this particular thing to listen true, what this provider package would do is it will automatically update the UI over here without you refreshing the page itself. For example, this as soon as I updated the data in database, I changed number of items from 6 to 2. I deleted 4 items. Now there are 2 items itself. So this listen true parameter would keep on listening the updated values in the database, and it will make sure that if I have deleted 2 items from the database, it is also deleted from here also. So this listen parameter is used for that particular thing. When you are calling API from, when you are calling data from any API. So that is where it is used. And if you'll have a look at this delete product, ultimately it is called from here, and then we are using notify listener. So as soon as we use notify listener, it automatically updates the data wherever in your application this particular product was used, and it is deleted. So all in all, any state management tool makes sure that your UI is much simpler, and you don't have to do a lot of data processing and data parsing from here and there, and make your UI much more simpler. Similarly, there are so many items which we can have a look at. For example, this was the example of adding an item to the cart. If we'll see any other example, let's suppose a clear cart example. For example, if I have added 2 to 3 items in my cart and I want to clear the cart. So what I'll do is I'll just use the item array, and there's a Dart function to clear the items. I'll do that, and then I'll click on notify listeners. So basically that's the protocol. Whatever changes you want to do in your particular application, do it and then call notify listeners. Automatically it would be updated in entire application, and then you have your UI is clean as such, and then you won't have to use notify listeners. Oh, sorry, you won't have to use set state. So that is the one very basic difference. That is what provider provides you.
Understood.
And that's the only reason why provider is very simple, because you can easily connect it with the set state part. What set state used to do and what provider is doing. Set state used to update the whole widget, and provider just updates that particular specific node. For example, over here, if I clicked on delete item, so provider will not update the whole page for me. Provider would just remove that particular node from the tree, and that's all. It won't update everything, because notify listener is working at the backend, is just notifying that particular node that okay, you need to get updated, and that's all. So it works more efficiently. So that is the very specific thing for the provider. Also, in this particular thing, if we come back to the main.dart, my app, we covered the notify listener part. Now, if we have to look at okay, how to set up provider in your particular application, so that is what I mentioned. It's very simple. This material app wrapper, you guys already know that this is how you start your material application. In order to use provider in your application, just include provider as a package in your main.dart, and then wrap your material app with provider. You can use multi-provider, or if you have just one page application, you can also use change notify provider. Change notifier provider, what it does is, if you don't have multiple pages in your application, then you can use change notifier provider. If you have multiple pages in your application, you can use multi-provider, and the documentation is available on this particular plugin website with this provider. And then you need to provide a list of all the providers which you have used. For example, we saw an example of products provider. Whatever we have written in, all the functions which we have written in products provider would be accessible to all the widgets which are below this particular provider, as in material app. And then similarly, there is cart provider, there is order provider, there is theme provider, there is auth provider. All the providers are doing the similar job. If I'll open the cart provider, you'll see that add items, remove items, all these things are happening in the cart provider with the similar concept, which is of notify listener.
Also, what does consumer do?
Yep. So basically, if I'll open it, and if you will have a look at it, what consumer is doing is creating a theme model. If you want to do any specific changes in UI, and you want it to be changed in that specific item itself, what provider does for us, it makes the set state functionality more efficient. Set state used to update the whole widget. Provider provides us the updating of one particular node. And if you want to go in much more detailed way, that, for example, if I'll come over here, for example, let's take an example of this particular widget. If I'm clicking on this delete icon, what provider would do is update this particular list style, correct? It would delete this particular list style from this screen. Provider would do it at this particular level. Now, if I want something that if I click on this icon button, only this icon button should get updated. Not even the sibling of this icon button should update it, not even the parent of this icon button should update it. If I want changes to be done at that specific level, so what I'll do is I'll add this icon widget with a consumer. And then similarly, as I mentioned, whatever functionality I want to write, I would write here. For example, if I'm writing delete product. So now whatever function which you are writing over here, it would affect just this widget, not even the sibling of this widget. If you want to do any specific functionality. So that is the difference between provider and consumer. Provider updates the whole widget. Set state updates the whole screen, and consumer just updates the widget inside the consumer widget. It won't even change the sibling widget as well. So that is the use of consumer. It is rarely used because rarely you would want one single thing to change on a click or anything else. So it is rarely used, but that is what consumer does. That if you want to make changes on very minute level, so you can use consumer widget.
Understood.
Okay, so that is how you can set up the provider based on your screen. If I have any new screen, for example, if I have a payment screen introduced in my application, I'll again create a change notifier and I'll create another payment model. All the functions related to the payment, I'll write in this particular manner. And if I want to access any of that particular function in my UI file, how will I do it? I'll do it with the help of this particular syntax. Provider, name of that particular function, and then with the dot notation, I'll use that particular function. And inside that particular function, what is the most important thing which I'll have to do is whatever functionality I am doing, even adding any item, deleting any item, showing a loader or anything, I'll have to use notify listener at the end of the function so that it reflects automatically and I don't have to use set state on my UI. So yeah, that is the overview of any specific state management tool. Be it any tool, this is the concept which you will be using. Even if you will go to Riverpod, even if you will go to Block, overall functionality would be same. There might be a different way of writing notify listener. There might be a different way of adding package to your your material app, but overall functionality would be same, that you are basically separating logic from your UI and you are not using set state. So these are the two most important things which you achieve by using any of the state management tool. And rest functionality is exactly the same. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, okay. Questions you guys can ask now if you guys have any questions. Not just state management, because you guys have learned Flutter from so many days. So any specific question other than state management, I'll be happy to answer. Anything else?
Okay, before that, I just wanted to revise that first we'll be adding our provider to at the topmost level so that it will be accessible for all the children widget. Okay.
True.
Then we are going to create another Dart file where we are going to declare all the functions, right?
True.
And then for calling out that function, we'll be using provider.offContext.
Yes, exactly.
That's it, right?
Yeah, so that's the very basic use case, simple use case. Now, based on the requirement of your application, these functions can have different things. For example, our delete product is just deleting item as of now, but there might be a possibility that you are calling an API at the backend to delete your function, to delete
Right.
your product. So you can add that API as well. I have already written this particular API, but
Okay.
time I deleted it from the front end as well, and then used notify listener. So it would happen synchronously. It would be deleted on the back end, then it would be deleted from the UI, and then listeners would be notified so that user would also see that okay, this product is deleted.
Understood. Okay, so yeah, because even I was going to use state management for uploading the
Want to
profile picture, so that wherever we are displaying the profile picture of the user, like we can just use notify listeners, and all everywhere the profile picture will be updated if the user updates that or adds a new one.
example which you can we details in a much more interactive UI application, which that is what that particular application is doing. It is using some sort of state management tool, that whatever details we entered, it is used in some model, and then that model with the help of notify listener is showing that particular data us again.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that was from my side. Anyone else have any questions? Like you can unmute yourself or put it in the chat box. I guess
And we can
Vishu
take
had.
example of any particular application, any specific scenario, and try to understand how state management might have been working in that particular application. There are so many different examples which you can take. So state management is basically something without which you won't be able to scale your application, because uh, as we saw, it is a very simple concept, but if you want to implement it in your application, you'll have to write so much code with set state and stuff. But once you implement it, it becomes very easy, because what I had to do is just wrap my material app with one more widget. That widget has access to all the functionalities which my application might do. Authentication orders, because see, authentication is not just required on the auth screen. There might be a scenario where user is trying to do something inside your application. The user's subscription might have got over, and then you might want user to be logged out automatically from product screen. You need authentication model there as well, so you can access it directly from there and log out user from there. So all these functionalities are like really important. Okay, there's a question from Devang, which is, I've been working on making a widget for quite a while. The video player is giving me a lot of pain. It works in debug, but not in the release. Could you help? Okay, so from your question, what I am seeing is, Devang, it's just a simple configuration mistake which you are doing. You need to define internet access in your Android manifest file, correct? So you might have defined the internet request for your debug APK, but you might not have defined the internet request for your release APK. That is why it is happening. That is the one thing which I can see. Hmm. Yeah, got it. True. True. It breaks. Got it. Got it. So you need to wait for the function to initialize. Once you are initializing the video player controller, it gives you a callback after initializing. That is when you need to call this seek2 function. If you will call the seek2 function directly after the initializing method without awaiting for it. Are you aware? I'm sure you guys are aware of async and await functionality. So you definitely, I mean, or else what we can do is this kind of like specific doubts we can I can take it for later, but you can connect with me whenever you feel like, ping me on LinkedIn or wherever you feel like. But for whatever from whatever you are explaining, that is what I'm getting, that you are not awaiting for it to be initialized. Okay. Yes, better player. Every player which, yeah, every Flutter video player which plugin which is available, be it better player, Chibi player, or anything, they all provide you a callback after initializing. So there is a, or even if they are not providing it, you can directly use the Flutter video player's video controller in your application, because all of them are built at the top of video player controller as well. So you can directly call a listener at video player controller also without using the functionalities which are being given by better player or any other player. You can use directly. I guess the syntax is triple dot and initialize, and then you can await for it. I'm not sure. Yeah.
If not resolved,
Still, if you
we'll
don't get it,
connect
you
back
can
to you.
connect with me. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else has any doubt? Yeah, nobody? Like, have everyone understood?
I get it that state management is quite difficult to understand at the first, but still, and I know that it's difficult to understand, but yes, any other questions are also welcome. For example, this video player one, because I've been working on video player from past couple of months in one of my projects. So I would love to solve the problem which Devang is facing.
Yeah, actually, we
Definitely.
are making a custom video player, but facing the issues since the past few
Definitely,
weeks now.
I would love to collaborate, because the product which I'm working on, it's an OTT application, and video player is the core feature. So I also have
Oh,
a
okay.
custom video player of my own,
Yeah. So
which I have
we'll need a lot of help
achieved.
from you, I guess.
Definitely. That's the reason I said would love to collaborate.
Perfect. I guess Vishu had some doubt. We can take it up now, right? Like, he
Okay.
asked it in the beginning.
Is it in the chat section?
No, the guy who was asking you a doubt in the beginning, he had some issue. He had some error on the ad screen, it seems.
Yeah, sure.
I don't think he's still listening, or are you there? Hello, Vishu? Yeah, Devang, you want to say something?
Is it in the well? Succeed from anywhere. There was a question from, I am not sure if I'm pronouncing the name right, Abhinaya. So it means it will be globally provided as in access from anywhere. Yeah, I guess I've already answered this while explaining the use case of multi-provider. So once you wrap your widget, material app widget with the provider package, all the functions which are there in this specific files are accessible globally. So you can access all these functions from wherever you want, and just make sure you write notify listener so that the backward compatibility also works. So for example, what notify listener would do is whatever changes you have done in this products class, it would notify this to all the other providers like cards, orders, key model, authentication. So if any other widget is using products, the UI would be updated automatically. So that is what notify listener does. If there's any change in any specific item, it will make sure all the other items are also known that, okay, this has changed.
Okay.
Anyone else who is working on any project on Flutter and facing any problem?
I just had a doubt about set state from 2 days. Like I was trying to add a question in the questionnaire, and like it was being added successfully, but then I had to switch my tab and then come back to the same tab to add it in the list. So I was not doing set state somewhere, and I figured it out 3-4 hours back.
But now you won't have to do the set state thing, because if you are using notify listener, it would be solved automatically.
Right.
Yeah.
So even I struggle a lot dealing with states. It's quite a difficult topic. Like I started with Flutter since 1 year now, and yeah, I've always been struggling to manage the states of widgets.
True.
So I guess that's it. Nobody is asking any questions, so I guess it's clear for all.
Hi.
Hi, Abhinaya.
Okay, I just wanted. I had just a small query. Flutter is practically just for the front end part, right? Mostly. So
okay,
or
you
we can have
continue your question.
Yeah, for the back end part of the app, do I have to use a different base, or can I do it here only?
The answer is no. Flutter is basically name of the tool which you are using. The programming language which you are writing is Dart.
Yep.
So if I'll share my screen again. So all this class structure which we are writing, that everything is a class, then there is a key value pair. Everything is written in form of key value pair, if you will have a look at it.
Okay.
Wherever you go, even if it's UI, everything is written in form of key value pair. So all this is Dart.
Okay, the language used is Dart.
Yeah, be it UI, be it functionality, everything is Dart. And Dart is created with the help of TypeScript. So at the end, it is all object-oriented programming. Your question was, do I have to use something else for the backend? So the answer is no. Dart provides you the functionality to create UI as well as write the functionality. And this is the best example. Like whatever this you are writing, it is not Flutter. It is actually Dart. Whatever you are writing, this return statement, this list style widgets, whatever you're writing, it is all Dart. So everywhere it is Dart. Flutter is just name of the core package which we are using, but programming language is Dart, and Dart is used for backend as well as front end for the functionality and everything.
I got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also for that video player thing, for earlier we were using Chewy, but now we are using Better Player. So like since you said that you have been working on video players a lot, is Better Player a good plugin, like good package to use for custom video players?
Yeah, Better Player is, as of now in current scenario, Better Player is a very good plugin, which you guys can definitely use. But it comes with a lot of ifs and buts, like is it a production level app and all that stuff.
Yes. So like if it is a production level app, will you not recommend it?
I won't recommend it because it is a side project of someone. So there is a possibility that 2 to 3 months down the line, it will start. Might stop updating itself, which happened with Chibi Player. So
Right.
Chibi Player was like really up to the mark initially with Flutter's native video player,
Mm-hmm.
but somewhere down the line, it stopped working. It stopped updating itself. That is the reason. And since I was using a production, I was creating a production level app, and I faced this problem. Initially, when I created one of the OTT applications 2 years back, I used Chibi Video Player. But
Mm-hmm.
3 to 4 months down the line, it stopped updating itself. Even there were a few things which were introduced in Flutter's basic video player, but Chibi was not updating it. I had a lot of requirements from my end. For example, streaming quality selector,
Mm-hmm.
picture in picture mode, subtitles, full
Right.
screen, and then creating a drawer on full screen. So what I did uh, is that I cloned the Flutter's basic video player.
Okay.
Then I took a lot of things from Chibi video player, used it in the Flutter's basic video player, and then started to manage my own repository. So that is what I started doing.
Okay. So now if we want to build a production level app and if we want to build our own custom player, you would recommend to clone the native video player and customize it ourselves?
But again, it depends on like speaking from my experience, my production level application is an application which is being used by like somewhere around 20-25 lakh users. So that is the reason I took that particular decision, because it was the core important functionality of that particular application. If you guys are creating some sort of MVP, I would suggest you can stick with the better player and then keep on uh, changing. As of now, for next 5 to 6 months, it would be up to date, because whosoever is creating it, at least he'll manage it for somewhere around 1 year. So
Right.
till then, you guys can trust the better video player. That is not a problem,
Okay.
because if you'll invest a lot of time in just video player, you might miss out on the other functionality of your
Yeah.
application.
Right.
So I would suggest to stick with better video player, because it has almost all the things which one would need.
Understood. Also, I had a quick question. If we want to see now, you must have seen on YouTube that if we play a playlist, um, it is in segments. Like it is an entire video. If we see free code camp key playlist, it's
Okay,
an entire playlist playing in one video, and there are small segments on it. So
true,
right, and if you
true.
click on fourth or fifth segment of that particular thing, the fourth or fifth video from the playlist starts playing. So is there any plugin to divide an entire stream into segments, or to
So basically, there's no plugin to do that. You need to use different video format for that. So if you'll have a look at YouTube, and if you'll go to the network section, you won't see any MP4 video playing in your YouTube section.
okay,
Generally, what we do is in our video player is we give it a MP4 file and it starts playing. Correct?
right,
But YouTube doesn't use it. You can take example of any application, YouTube or Hotstar for that sake, for live streaming and everything.
mm-hmm.
What they use is M3 UAT format.
Yes, even I guess even we are using M3 UAT.
So in M3 UAT format, you can wherever you are configuring that your M3 UAT file, you can create playlists.
Okay.
3 to 4 videos you can merge in M3 UAT file, and then you can create your playlist over there. So
Okay.
it solves a lot of problems. One, you can create playlist. Second, it solves the buffering issue as well,
Mm-hmm.
because what MP4 does is it directly starts downloading the video, and there's a lot of bandwidth which goes in doing that.
Right.
But what M3 UAT does is, based on the user's connectivity, network bandwidth, it makes sure that okay, next 5 to 10 seconds are ready, and it divides your whole video in different packets or different bundles. It has a functionality of its own, so it takes care of all that stuff.
So if we want to render that M3 U8 wali playlist in Better Player, we just have to pass the playlist like we pass the MP4 file.
Yes, I am pretty much sure that Better Player has an access to M3 U8 file, because Flutter ka native player also allows you to play M3 U8 files. So by default, Better Player would also do that.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And,
also,
if you're using M3 U8 file, automatically your quality selection and all those functionalities which are related to video quality becomes active. You can use all those functionalities using 280, 2080 and all those streaming qualities. By default, it becomes active once you start using M3 U8 file format.
Understood. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, that was from my side. Also, if I have any queries on this video player, I'll get back to you, because we are in the process of making that video player. So we face a lot of issues and don't know.
Definitely. And we should definitely be aiming of publishing it to the pub.dev as a package.
Right.
Because there's a requirement of a lot of things to be introduced in video player. So we should definitely work towards it.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone else?
Yeah, feel free to ask. Okay, so what is the question? Can you share your contact number? Okay, no problem. I can share my contact number. Also, you guys can connect with me on LinkedIn. It is where I make sure I make myself available. Yeah, this is my contact number. Until and unless someone decides to misuse it.
Thank you so much. I'll share your contact number in the group of our Flutter.
Cool. Also, as I promised at the beginning of the session, what I'll do is, I guess we have members from 3 colleges over here. So I'll give one coupon each to all the 3 organizers, and you guys can make sure to whomsoever you want to give it, or if you want to use it for yourself. Kisko pata chal raha hai? So do that as well.
Perfect.
Right.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for connecting. Which coupon?
Okay. So I don't know your name exactly, Rockstars, but we were supposed to have some giveaways at the end of the session. So that is what we were talking about. So there would be a coupon through which you can basically order some stuff from the Flutter's store. So yeah, that is the coupon which we were talking about. Okay, there's another question. Can you share your projects made with Flutter? So basically, yes, I shared one URL with you guys. So this is the project which I created with Flutter. So from here, basically, you can visit my GitHub repository, and then there are quite a few projects which I have worked on with Flutter. There's another simple Flutter chat functionality, an application which I have built, all with the help of Firebase. Firebase is very easy to use. So Flutter chat application with Firebase, you can just clone it and start using it. So that is also which I have created. And then there are a few private repositories which you might not be able to see, but again, even if you'll have a look at it, it's very complicated, so of no use. But yes, you can visit my GitHub profile and have a look at all the projects which I have worked on. So I'll share my GitHub URL again.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. Can I show my error now?
Yeah, feel free to do that.
My screen was visible or not?
Yes, it is. You're running it on web. Okay.
Now I am running on it. Otherwise, I am running on Android.
Because I'm not sure if I tested it on Flutter web.
Okay, I will turn it on. My please wait.
Also, what I would suggest is that if you can skip using Android Studio because it's quite heavy, and Flutter would work properly even if you are using VS Code.
IntelliJ पर किया था मैंने. Second. My phone screen was visible or not?
Yeah, phone screen is visible now. So this is what you are getting to see, nothing else.
Yes. When I click here, manage products, then I will click on the add button.
The application crashes.
Yes.
Can we have a look at the logs? In the Android Studio. Okay. Let me pin. Not able to read it.
That
Let me scroll up. It's difficult for me to read. Okay. No, this is related to login. This was
I haven't
related
connected now, till now.
Okay, so basically, yeah, I got it. So basically, the add item initiates the Firebase connectivity, which is as of now in debug mode, so you're not able to access it. Have you connected your own application?
Yeah,
Firebase. Your application is not yet created. That is why the error is coming. Did you verify the app? The connectivity between your application and Firebase is not yet ready.
Okay, we'll check and afterward I will connect with you.
Are you aware of how to add Firebase to your application?
Yes.
That is what
Authentication
is,
part.
the configuration part basic.
Yes. I will connect it with you. Right? Then I will ping you if I am.
And in the latest version of Firebase plugins, you can do it with the help of command line itself. Just have a look at that as well. Before we used to include the playlist info.json file. We had to do all that stuff. Now you won't have to do that. You can do it all with the help of command line. So if you'll have a look at Firebase core plugin on flutter.dev, pub.dev, you can see the steps over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you please also connect with me on LinkedIn?
Definitely, we can connect anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vishu. Anyone else?
Anything else other than Flutter also I am happy to speak about. Anyone looking for an internship in Flutter?
Vikas Singh says yes.
So whosoever is looking for one, just make sure you ping me on LinkedIn and just give me a reference that okay, this is where we got connected. So I'll talk to you regarding that.
Okay.
I'm looking for interns for my own company. That's why.
It's a paid or free?
Obviously, I'll pay you.
Is it a remote internship?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, if anyone is looking for an internship, please get back to him on LinkedIn.
Generally, I don't announce it on the sessions, but we are 1.5 hours down the line and still there are quite a few students. So I thought that, okay, this is the right time to inform this sort of opportunity. So I just did it.
Okay. So you are searching interns for stage?
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool.
So over here at Stage, we are creating an OTT platform. Basically, what you can compare it with a Netflix or something like that. The content is in all regional dialects, but the functionalities and everything is you can compare it with any other OTT application, Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar, or whatever you want to. We are using Flutter as our core building block for all the platforms: iOS, Android, Web, Android TV, Apple TV, and all the other boxes which are available. Boxes as in Tata Sky, Jio TV, and Airtel Extreme, and all that stuff. So we are using specifically Flutter for all those things.
Wow.
So that is why I thought that, okay, if someone is interested in really working on Flutter and exploring it out, so it would be a good opportunity.
You will be able to, you will be there to guide us, right? Like,
I am expecting someone to help me out, but yes, definitely. I mean,
okay.
So nowadays internship is not all about like learning.
Mm-hmm.
We also have some sort of expectations if someone is joining. So, yep.
Okay.
And also there is an interview process. So that is another thing.
Got it. Yeah. Anybody
Any
else?
more
Those
questions?
who want to...
Anyone else?
If no, then we can conclude the session.
Yep.
Yeah. How can I message you on LinkedIn? It's locked.
Cool. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks for attending. Yep.
Vishu, if not able to connect on LinkedIn, he has shared his number in the chat. So you can just DM him as well.
Okay, so Vishu is Rockstar firm up.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
I have accepted his request.
Okay. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining. Thank you so much, Minal, for delivering such a wonderful session. It was really helpful, especially for students like me who are actually struggling with states of widgets.
True. I had the same feeling when I started learning state management 1 year before.
Yeah, like it's interesting when someone teaches me. Like I have literally attended some 4-5 sessions for state management, and when I see, I do understand the concept. Like I feel it's very easy, and when I actually try to implement it, it's very messed up.
So basically, whichever concept you are learning, it's that is the concept or the process which I follow is that start from a very easy stuff, and then try to implement it in your project, and then keep on improvising it on that particular stuff. So, and that is how I try to explain stuff that in a easier way, how you can achieve anything in 3 different manners, and then yeah. So
Okay.
state management is quite difficult, but yeah, it really makes your code very readable. Your functionality is very accessible from any part of your application. So even if you have an idea to implement, you will be able to easily achieve it with the help of state management.
Right. Yeah. On that note, let's conclude. Thank you so much for joining. If anyone has any other queries and if not able to solve anything, as Vinal said, you can contact him on LinkedIn or his phone number. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. Feel free to, leave the mood.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah.
I'll
Thank you
take a
so
leave.
much, Vinal. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.